What's up, guys? Welcome back to the MontyVerse. Today, we're going to be checking out the brand new trailer for Shazam, Fury of the Gods. And Nikki, are you ready for more Shazamily action?
I've been ready since the first one came out.
I know, it feels like forever since that movie came out. But let's just jump into this trailer right now. Okay.
She looks so good.
Hell yeah. What did she stick in the ground?
We will annihilate everything. Champions of this realm can do nothing to stop us.
Okay.
You are very menacing. I just want you to know that.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Gosh. Just straight up, Leonidas kicked him.
In the last few years. The wizard gave me superpowers. And then everybody got superpowers.
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
I love
Here's
it.
the situation.
Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
The daughters of Atlas are coming to hunt us.
Children
Oh, Freddy.
the power of the gods. You ripped it from our father's core.
Okay, I feel like maybe I should be writing all this down.
The power's child.
Oh!
Your world will not survive this. You want these powers? Come get them. Hey, Khaleesi!
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, that's not bad collateral damage.
Bottom, now the whole team here.
We have one job to do. Save the world.
Oh no!
I don't know how we fight powers like this.
I can't do this. Take my powers back. You gave them to me, so you can take them back, right?
I spent millennia searching for a worthy champion.
Like Black
Oh,
Adam.
Mary! Look at Mary's kick. Oh, wow!
Billy, what are you doing?
I have to do this.
We end this now.
Yeah, we do.
Okay, that's
Started from the
cool.
bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.
Oh! Yes!
Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Listen, any movie that features Zachary Levi punching a dragon in the face, I'm all for.
Am I missing or blanking on ones that he's done that?
This movie. This one movie, I'm totally gonna be there for. I mean, okay, so this trailer actually did a good job of telling us a lot more about the story than trailer one.
Did it really?
I mean, for me, I can, as a comic book fan and as a fan of superhero movies, I'm starting to piece together, I think, from this trailer.
I'm not sure though what was different though.
Okay, so in the first trailer, here's the thing: the villains in this movie are the daughters of Atlas.
Right.
They're completely new characters. They don't exist in the comic books.
Right.
So we don't really know what they're after, what their agency is, like what are they trying to do. Now this gives us a little feel for it and shows us why they're so dangerous to the Shazamily in this trailer. Did you pick up on what they were doing?
I mean, more so. What I was thinking the whole time watching is that, especially compared to the first one, like the first one had a lot of jokes and levity. This, I think, was a lot more intense. It showed a lot more action. I think it especially showed more Lucy Liu. I don't know if it was drastically like more revealing.
It showed plot. I mean, plot revealing, not like spoilers. But we know the Daughters of Atlas. It's very clear that they have the same staff that the Wizard Shazam had in the first movie, and they're going to be taking the powers of the Shazamily one by one.
It wasn't that the staff they're shown stealing in the first trailer.
Okay, so maybe they steal his staff, but it's so weird because it seems like Helen Mirren has one and Billy has one, or maybe it's just the way the trailer was cut.
Oh yeah, and I think that's a huge part of it, because what I will say is that, like, I think there was some new stuff in this one, but I think there was a lot of money shots that were reused, like the one with Rachel Zegler and Freddie.
Yeah.
Like, so to me, I'm kind of the opposite. I don't feel like it was necessarily a lot different in terms of the story, because, like, we knew that the daughters were coming for them.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. It answers a lot of questions. Why, like why they were riding horses? Why, like, any of this? Like, it's they don't have their powers anymore. And
the part of them losing the powers answers that.
Yes, and it gives us, it really tells us what the driving force of this movie is going to be, and that's Billy's importance as a character. Why is Billy the chosen one? And that was something I was really worried about going into this movie, because as much as I love the Shazamly and I love all of them having powers, I think the problem I had at the end of the first movie was like, Billy felt less special. Like, why is Billy the champion now? And when they all have powers, it's kind of like, where's that balance between kids and adult form? You know, we already see that Grace Fulton is full-time Mary Marvel at all times now. But I think this trailer does a really good job of showing you how they're going to balance that. And they're going to be super for maybe half the film, and then they're going to have their powers taken away, maybe to regain them at the end. And it's going to allow Billy to be the star. It's going to allow Shazam to be the star of the Shazam movie, which I think is a really good plot device, just because I want more solo Shazam stuff. Even though it's a family film, this movie is going to show you why Billy is the champion, why the wizard chose him as opposed to choosing any of the other kids. Like, he's got that specialness in him.
Right. And honestly, like, I think that's a really good point. I guess for me, I'm not as bothered by it because, and we were talking a little bit about this before we started, is I do like the kids, and and to me, like, not knowing the comics, that was a really fun surprise at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
But what I will say is, where I'm kind of with you, is I do think that them losing the powers, like, it gives it gives more stakes to the story as a whole, but two, I think it allows us to put the spotlight on Billy, but also examine the others, like Freddy, who really wanted those powers, and kind of delving into a different side of their development too.
Well, I think what Freddy really wants is a girlfriend now, and I think that's why he loses those powers.
But it looks like, hey, he might get Rachel.
Yeah, Rachel Zegler and Freddy are gonna be in a meet cute type scenario.
Right, but that's what I'm saying is interesting too. It's like, okay, even if he doesn't have the powers, he still has his own aspect of his development.
Yeah, and it's interesting, the Daughters of Atlas, they want to take the powers from the Shazamly, because the powers that the gods that the Shazamly gets their powers from are the Greek gods.
Right.
So, you know, that's why they're upset, like, oh, the power of the gods in the hands of children. You know, so that makes sense. I thought it was a really cool trailer. I like the starter from the bottom, now we're here. That's really cool, especially when you're talking about kids who are super-powered beings able to cause massive collateral damage, like destroying skyscrapers.
Right, which is more justified than certain other heroes doing the same thing.
What's wild is, like, this was supposed to, like, honestly, there's chaos going on in DC right now. There's not chaos. It's more of uncertainty in regards to this franchise and the ones left standing now that the new DC Studios is in place. And it's curious, because this was supposed to be set in the DCEU while it was being filmed. How does Superman not just show up? Like, buildings are getting, like, whatever. I don't know. Let's jump into that.
I was going to say, I think we can ask that question about a lot of superhero movies. And I think if we think too hard about it, it's just going to create so many plot holes in so many of them.
Fair enough.
And I think, like, what I can say is, like, even, like, let's say this is the end and we don't continue with these characters, depending on what happens, as long as it's a great movie, like, that's the most important part to me, because, like, by all means, if this is the end, like, a lot of movies or potential franchises are cut short. Just give us another great follow-up, and at least it'll be a positive legacy for Shazam.
Yeah. I mean, this one thing that disappoints me from this trailer is that the movie seems less colorful than the first one.
Yes, you're right.
It's very monotone. There's a lot of grays and very cold blues. Whereas the first movie was so bright. It was around Christmas time. The suits were vibrant and bright, and the suits are very muted and very, you know, DCEU-like. And I think that charm, that campy aesthetic, really, I miss that in a Shazam movie. But who knows?
I was gonna say, like, the suits in this trailer, at least, they're comparatively muted compared to the first one. They're at least brighter than that poster we got recently, where that one is very, very muted.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Rachel Zegler's character is going to be in disguise, because she is in plain clothes over here.
Which, we got that in the first trailers, too. And I think, because obviously she's one of the daughters, but I do wonder, like, what her role is going to be, if she's going to, like, kind of flip sides, and I think there's a good hint to that, but we don't know at the same time.
Yeah, I mean it's cool. I really like the I think the plot it's a plot device. It's a plot device to take let's be honest. It's a plot device to take the other children, the other superheroes out of this movie, because a team of 7 essentially Supermen, a Justice League, can probably take these 3 out very easily, but for them to isolate the children and take their powers one by one is pretty smart. We see Mary get zapped, we see Freddy get zapped, so it makes sense. It makes the stakes feel more real.
Right.
Because let's be fake. Like, Mary seems to have the same powers as Billy. They're essentially 2 Supermen.
Right.
Like, Supermen in the sense of powers, not actual gender. But it just seems like it would be a lot easier. And this comes and it kind of throws a monkey wrench into things. And again, I think it's good for Billy's story, because Shazam, while it is a story about family, it's a story about Billy. And how Billy deals with family and how Billy deals with being a part of a family. We saw him accept family at the end of the first movie, and now we have to see him kind of live with family in this one.
Well, live with and without, because that is something that I think, again, is kind of been present in both of the trailers, is him kind of talk about how distant they've all become and that everyone's kind of doing their own thing. And I think that's actually kind of a powerful theme, because on the one hand, it was good for him to get to the place where he could kind of accept family, even if it was in an unorthodox way, but at the same time also kind of gaining that independence. He's a teenager now, so he's kind of learning, like, and going along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, these kids look old. These kids look like full-grown adult humans. But yeah, I'm sure family and family dynamics are going to be another huge theme of this movie. There's no coincidence that the villains are the sisters of Atlas and not just 3 women of Atlas.
But they are sisters with each other, but daughters of Atlas.
They're daughters of Atlas. I'm sorry. There's a reason why there's a familial feel to the villains.
Right, which in stark contrast to Savannah, which that's always also the interesting thing, is like, because I liked him, but I wouldn't say he's anywhere near like a favorite villain. So it's interesting to see like kind of how they compare and contrast to him.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see why they because again they teased Mr. Mind for this movie, aka Voice Box Caterpillar, a great villain in DC Comics. So I'm really curious as to why they swerved to sit the Daughters of Atlas, and I'm sure it has to do with the themes of the movie, the themes being family and siblings, whereas the first movie was very much father and sons, father and daughters,
or even mothers and sons.
Mothers and sons. The themes of the first movie were parental. I think this one will be more
sibling heavy.
Siblings. Yeah. Like it's going to be brothers and sisters, the themes of this movie. Because Billy, obviously, we see him trying to give up his powers after all of his siblings got their powers taken from them, and he can't do this by himself. And I think they're going to help him, and he's going to help them, and everyone's going to help each other, and the Shazamly, and hopefully there's a lot of fun. I just you were kind of right. I wish this trailer wasn't a lot of fun, and that's because it was a very serious in tone, and it wanted to create the stakes of the film. Mm-hmm. But I hope we didn't lose that.
I don't think we did entirely. Again, whatever was in the first trailer, like, unless they're drastically recutting, like, we know that is going to be there. So I think probably on the whole, maybe it will be a little bit grimmer, but I don't think it's going to lose that same flavor, especially, like, again, everyone's back from the first one. What's the director's name?
It's David F. Sandberg.
Yeah, I mean, so unless it's something crazy happens, I have good expectations for it in line with the first one. Yeah,
it's interesting. Listen, I'm gonna watch it. I love Shazam. Yeah. It's very high up on my DC rankings. The first Shazam movie, I consider it to be one of DC's best films. So I have really high hopes for this. I hope I don't have my expectations set too high, but again, the cast is great. The characters are great. I really think they would have to try for this film not to be good. Mm-hmm. I think they would have to try to make a bad movie in order for this thing not to be at least entertaining.
Right.
So those are my thoughts. There's not really much I can give you in terms of comic Easter eggs and stuff, because again, half of these things don't exist in the comics. There's the stuff that from the first Shazam movie, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Just really quick, because now I'm curious. Is this unusual for a comic book film to go this far against comic lore?
Well, they're not going... I wouldn't say they're going against comic lore.
Or, like, creating new stuff for it.
I mean, there's cases of it. I mean, there's been tons of movies that created their own villains. Probably for a very long time, my favorite DC movie, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, created a villain. And so it really depends on the director and the writers and what story they're trying to tell. But usually characters existed for nearly a century at this point. Like, you have Superman's, Batman's, Wonder Woman's, characters that existed for 70 plus years. So there's a villain somewhere in that 70-year history that they can use.
Yeah.
Marvel has done a great job of using obscure villains and kind of picking them out and placing them into movies. You know, Whiplash was a villain in an Iron Man movie. So, yeah, it all depends on story and what you're looking to tell. And a lot of times villains are just villains in names only, and they're given, like the Vulture. Like, the Vulture was a reinvented version of that character. He was the Vulture in name, but everything else was unique to that Spider-Man movie.
And I think it was better for it.
Yeah, so again, like I said, the thing that's most important beyond adaptation, which is why I'm not worried that the villains are the daughters of Alice, is story. Story comes first. So if the writing is there and the story is there, that's the most important thing about comic book adaptation. It doesn't need to be ripped directly from the comics. As we can see, when they do that, they're not always so successful because you lose that thematic importance and you lose that emphasis on story. So, I mean, I really don't have a problem with it. Like I said, I just want a great movie. I just want a great movie with strong themes and great story.
I do too, and I hope everyone else does.
Yes, and if you guys like the video, make sure to give it a huge thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell and stay up to date on all of our latest content. Nikki, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Twitter at EdLordNikki.
And you guys can find me on all of the socials at the MontyVerse. And until next time, guys, stay versed.